An old woman saved 2 freezing dogs on a cold winter night. But the next morning, her house was surrounded by police, and what they told her left everyone shocked. On one of the coldest nights of the year, when the streets were empty and even the wind felt dangerous, an old woman heard something outside her door. It was faint, weak, almost impossible to notice, but that small sound would change her life forever. Because when she opened the door, she didn't just find 2 dying dogs. She unknowingly saved heroes, and the next morning, her quiet home would be surrounded by police. In a small, quiet neighborhood far from the noise of the city stood a modest little house. It wasn't anything special, with faded paint, old wooden windows, and a small porch that had seen many winters. Inside that house lived Martha. She was old, not just in age, but in the way loneliness had slowly shaped her life. Years ago, her home used to be full of laughter, family dinners, and warm conversations. But now there was only silence. Her children had moved far away, her husband had passed years ago, and time had quietly taken everything else. Now her days were simple. She would wake up early, make herself a cup of tea, sit near the window, and watch the world go by. Sometimes people passed her house, but no one ever stopped. She had learned to live like this, alone but peaceful. That night, the cold was different. It wasn't just winter. It felt harsher, deeper, and unforgiving. The wind howled through the empty streets, rattling doors and shaking windows. Inside her house, Martha wrapped herself in a thick shawl while her heater struggled against the cold. She held her cup of tea tightly, trying to keep her hands warm, when suddenly she heard a sound. Soft, weak, almost like a whisper. At first she ignored it, thinking it was just the wind, but then it came again, clearer this time, a faint cry. Martha slowly stood up, her heart uneasy. Opening the door at night wasn't safe, especially at her age, but something about that sound didn't feel dangerous. It felt helpless. She walked carefully toward the door, each step heavier than the last. The sound came again, trembling and weak. She reached for the handle, paused for a moment, and then slowly opened the door. Cold air rushed inside instantly, and there they were. 2 dogs lying on her doorstep. They were barely moving. Their bodies trembled uncontrollably, their fur covered with frost. One of them tried to lift its head but failed, while the other let out a soft whimper as if begging for help. Martha's heart broke. Without thinking twice, she rushed forward and gently brought them inside. She wrapped them in blankets, placed them near the heater, and whispered softly, "Stay with me. Don't give up." She hurried to the kitchen, warmed some milk, and brought it back. At first, there was no movement, but slowly, one of the dogs sniffed the air and began to drink. The other followed, weak but alive. Martha didn't sleep that night. She sat beside them, watching every breath and every movement. She adjusted their blankets, gently touched their heads, and reassured them they were safe. Outside, the storm continued, but inside that small house, something had changed. The silence was gone. For the first time in years, Martha didn't feel alone. Morning came, and the storm had passed. Sunlight entered the room, and the dogs looked better, still weak but alive. Martha smiled softly, relieved, but suddenly loud sirens shattered the peace. Confused, she looked out the window and froze. Police cars surrounded her house. Neighbors gathered outside, whispering and pointing. Her heart started racing. Then came a loud knock at the door. With trembling hands, she opened it. 2 officers stood outside. One of them spoke calmly. "Ma'am, we believe you have something that belongs to us." Martha was confused. She didn't understand. The officer stepped forward and looked inside. The moment he saw the dogs, his expression changed completely. Relief filled his face. "They're here," he said. He turned back to Martha and explained, "These are not just dogs. They are highly trained K9 officers from a special police unit. They went missing during an operation, and we've been searching for them for days." Martha stood there in shock, looking back at the same weak, freezing animals she had saved. She had no idea they were heroes. The officer smiled gently and said, "You didn't steal them, you saved them." Another officer knelt beside the dogs, petting them with care and saying they wouldn't have survived the night without her. Martha's eyes filled with tears. She softly replied, "I didn't know who they were. I just saw two lives that needed help."
That day, the lonely old woman who thought she had nothing left became a hero herself, because sometimes you don't need to know someone's story to choose kindness. And sometimes the smallest act of care can save a life. This is Paw Story, where every story has a heart. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe to Paw Story for more emotional stories like this, and tell me in the comments, would you have opened the door that night?